year loans for cars. And when you get into that kind of a situation, you're going past when the warranty usually lasts. You're going longer than that. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace, and we've been doing a story about car financing. You may have lots of questions about car financing. Perhaps you're in an auto loan right now. You want to know more. You're about to buy a car. What do you need to know? Well, we've got the experts. We're actually here at the Toronto offices of Car Help Canada, ready to take any questions that you have about auto financing, about car loans, long-term car loans. Going to bring in Mohamed Bouchama right now, and he is here with Car Help Canada, here to be able to help us with all of our various questions, including, Mohamed, when you look at the trend, I remember when I was not all that long ago, seeing 3 and 4, maybe 5-year loans, but now we've shifted into something else.
Well, after the 2008 recession,
big financial crisis.
Leasing practically was dead. I mean, GM, Chrysler, they went into bankruptcy. They stopped leasing, period. So the industry, they had to find another ways to sell cars, and the only way they came up with was offering long-term financing, which makes monthly payments a lot affordable.
Yeah, because the payment goes down because you're spreading it out over a longer period of time.
The problem with that is you're on the hook for 7-8 years. So if you're not sure whether you're going to keep your car for 7-8 years, then you might end up paying a huge price.
Yeah, and I know we talked to you when we did this story for CBC Marketplace. We're happy to take any questions you have around, particularly car financing, but these are the guys to talk to about cars, so maybe you've got other questions out there. When we were talking about car financing, one of the big kind of risks is if you have a car on, let's say, a 7-year loan, and a lot of people taking cars on 7-year loans right now, if you're like a lot of people and you trade it in at year 3, you got yourself a problem.
Oh, big time, because now suddenly your car is worth a lot less than what you owe.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy another car, another new car, what the dealership will do, they will just roll in the difference, the debt, what we call negative equity. They will roll into the price of the new car. Then suddenly, instead, let's say take Hyundai Elantra for example. Then suddenly, if the car is worth 15 and you owe another $7,000-8,000, then the car suddenly you are buying, you're owing almost 40 grand.
Yeah. So if for instance, like you buy a $30,000 car, you drive it off the lot right away, it loses some value.
Absolutely.
But that loan is still for the could be $30,000.
Exactly. Plus, if there is interest.
Plus, there could be interest, right?
Absolutely.
Not everybody's getting that 0%.
Exactly.
And if you get into that kind of a situation, they call it negative equity, right?
Yes.
Where your loan is bigger than the value of your car.
Than the value of the car, and a lot of people are encouraged just to roll in that negative equity into the price of the new car, which means you just add up more debt.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it just becomes almost impossible to afford that car. So people really have to think hard, have to be very careful because they decide whether they want to go long-term financing or not.
Yeah. I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace, and we're here talking about car loans, car debt, auto financing, really anything to do with a car purchase. Because you know what? These are the guys. Mohamed Bouchama here with me. We're in the Toronto offices of Car Help Canada. These are guys who help people buy cars. That's sort of what you do as a business, right?
Absolutely. And we help people buy cars, but also we help people deal with their car problems, including when people call us and they have a huge negative equity, what they should do.
Yeah.
So we try to help them.
What do you tell people if they have?
Well, we tell people, usually I try to convince people to keep the car.
Yeah.
To keep the car and pay off more for the loan. So it becomes easier.
Yeah.
For example, let's say you decide to trade the vehicle after 3 years. I'll try to encourage them to keep the car for an additional year or 2 years. So suddenly, the difference is not as bad. And, they can afford it. And have an additional 2-3 years. Because, the problem is, a lot of people, believe it or not, and this is from our experience in the office, a lot of people, just want to change a car every 3-4 years because technology, because, cars, they're getting nicer, they're getting, with a lot more options. Oh, you know what? I like this car. I want to change my car. They don't think about the consequence.
Yeah, exactly. Here's we got some questions, and we're happy to take all your questions. Carrie's coming in. We got a comment saying I guess she's gone into the dealership. She says, "I didn't know that their offer wasn't the end price. I was surprised about the cost of adding insurance and warranty coverage." after the offer. And there's a difference, clearly.
Let me explain to our viewers.
And Ashley, we got your question. I'll be to that in a second.
So let me explain to Ashley how the process works.
Yep.
You go to a dealership buying a new car, correct?
Yep.
Then, once you decide on the price of the vehicle,
yep.
then they will take you to what we call the business office. And that's where the real profits are.
That's where they make their money.
Absolutely. So they'll try to sell you extend warranties, insurance. They'll try to sell you all kind of products, right? And those products, usually the profits are huge, between 400 to 500%. So, for example, let's take an example, rust proofing.
Yeah.
It'll cost them probably around $300. They will try to sell it for $900. Right? So people have to decide what they want way before they go to the dealership. Decide what would you want. If you don't want rust proofing, decide what options. Do you want to go to do at the dealership, or you want to go outside and save some money?
Yeah.
Same with extended warranty. For example, here in our office, if people are leasing a car, we tell them don't bother buying extended warranty, because you don't need it. If you're leasing the car for 4 years and the vehicle comes with a 4-year warranty, why do you want to pay for an extended warranty? I mean, if you want to buy the car at the end of the lease, then yeah, you can consider an extended warranty after that. But don't buy it, because you're just paying more and more money and paying more profit to the dealership.
Okay, Ashley Williams is asking, this is a good question, Ashley. If I sign the papers for a new car and then after the deposit and everything, if Ashley is remorseful, can the contract be canceled before taking delivery of the car, even on the day of delivery? Can you cancel the whole deal at that point?
No, you can't.
All right.
No, you see, there is, and that's another.
There you go, Ashley. Sorry to say that, but
that's another myth in Ontario. There is no cooling off period.
Yeah.
When you buy a car, you sign your name at the bottom of the contract, the car is yours. That doesn't mean you can't get out of it, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So really, I tell people, look, when you go to a dealership, I know there's a lot of pressure on you to buy a car right there.
Yeah.
But take your time. If you're not sure, tell them I want to go home and think about it. I want to discuss with my wife, with my children, with my family, right?
Yeah.
Then, when you're 100% sure and you want that car, then you go ahead and buy it.
Okay. Here's a question. How do you get out of a lease after 1.5 years into a 4-year lease?
Oh, that's very difficult too.
Yeah.
Because you'll end up paying huge penalties, unless you can go to on some websites, like one is called Lease Busters. You can go there and try to see if somebody can take over the lease. Otherwise, if you break the lease, after 1.5 years, definitely you're going to pay penalties.
And that'd be big.
Yeah. Especially after 1 year or 1.5 years, yes, the penalty will be a lot higher compared to 3 years in the lease.
So what's Lease Busters? That's basically someone else looking to buy a used car but take over the lease?
People advertise their cars, cars that are leased, and they are looking for people to take over that lease.
Right, okay. I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace. This is Mohamed Bouchama, who's with Car Help Canada. We're taking any questions you might have around buying a car, could have to do with financing or leasing or anything you've got. These are the guys to talk. We're in their Toronto offices. Danielle is asking, I want to purchase a used vehicle and I've been looking to buy from private sellers. What are the risks? What are the benefits?
There's a huge risk when you buy from private sellers. You have no protection.
Yeah.
So if you can buy it, and usually...
But you think you're going to get a better deal with a private seller, right?
Well, that's very true, but sometimes you don't. So you got to be very, very careful. But there are 3 things that people should do when they're buying used cars privately. Make sure that you're not dealing with a curbsider.
What's that mean?
A curbsider means it's a person who is in the business of selling and buying cars without license.
Okay.
And usually they sell junk.
How do you figure that out?
That's what I'm saying. You got it. When you go meet, if somebody tells you, meet me in a parking lot, or meet me in a donut shop, then that's a red flag.
Okay.
But when you go and meet this person, ask them to see their driver license. Match it with the ownership of the car if it's their car. Okay. You make sure first it's not a curbsider. Because as I said, most curbsiders sell junk. They sell really bad cars.
Okay, so that's one way to know that it's actually their car they're selling. Yeah. Avoid the curbsiders. What's the second thing?
Second thing, make sure you insist on taking the car for an inspection.
Yep.
To your own mechanic.
Yep.
Make sure that the car is in good conditions, that it hasn't been, in a collision, right? Number 3, make sure that you ask for car proof.
Yeah.
It's a report that gives you the history of the vehicle, that tells you whether there are any liens on it, and also, if the vehicle has been any accidents before.
Right. So does someone else have a lease on this?
Yeah,
Has
absolutely.
it been in an accident?
There is somebody owes money on that car.
Okay, so take a picture of their license, or take a look at their license, make sure it matches the ownership of the car if you're buying privately. Number 2, take it for an inspection.
Absolutely.
And number 3,
2, ask for, as I said, for car proof. And by law, the seller has to provide you with a report called UVIP.
Yeah.
Used Vehicle Information Package. You can pick up that at any Service Ontario office.
But can I, as the buyer, do that?
Yeah,
Or-
you
oh,
can.
You can.
You can. But as I said, the seller has to provide it. That's the law.
Okay. They have to
Okay.
provide. Okay. Daniel, I hope that answers your question. If you got any more, please just fire that question right in. Daniel is asking, what if there's no debt and just lease? Is there anything else that I need to consider?
No, I mean, if it's a lease and you don't owe any money, the only thing, you decide whether you want to keep the vehicle at the end of the lease or you want to return it. But the other thing is, a lot of people, they think because they lease the car, they don't care. You got to be very careful. You have to maintain that car. You have to keep it, you have to keep maintaining it all the time. Make sure there are no scratches. Make sure the tires are at least, they are at 50%.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you return the vehicle, you're going to be hit with a bill.
Right, because they're going to want to replace the tires if you've left it down
Fix
to nothing.
scratches and stuff like that. So make sure you keep the car clean. Make sure you take care of it.
Other things we need to consider when it's a lease?
When it's a lease, as I said, I mean, just make sure, you decide at the end. If you decide to keep the vehicle, make sure whether the residual value is fair.
Okay.
What you do, you go to Auto Trader or Kijiji and compare the price of the real value of that car with the prices offered on those sites. And if it's a good price, then I will buy it.
Yeah, but they're not going to, a dealership's not going to give you the value of that car relative to what you see on Auto Trader. They got to make margins, right? They got to make money on it.
No, but with a lease, no, they can't do that.
Okay.
With the it's the real value, that's what you pay. They can't mark it up.
They can't mark it up.
Because that's the manufacturer that decides that.
Okay. Whether you got a question on a lease or buying a car financing, problems with a car that you've got right now, Mohamed's your guy. We've got his partner in crime here, Shari Prymak, as well. And so any questions you got, please just fire them in and we'll get to them as quickly as possible. Elaine's asking, I bought a Jeep that had a manufacturer's warranty on it, but less than 20,000 kilometers on it, the engine went.
Ooh.
Dealership refused to pay because the previous owner did not keep up with basic maintenance and refused to fix it. Is there a way to avoid this for future purchases?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You take the car for an inspection if you're buying it used.
Yeah.
Make sure they do. Tell them you're considering buying this used car, and please I want you to do very detailed inspection. Sometimes, when the garage knows that some vehicles have some issues, for example, with engines, well, they'll do what they call, an oil test, where they, test the cylinders and see if the vehicle is burning oil. If there are leaks, if the vehicle is overheating, then they will advise the person to stay away from that car.
Yeah, so 20,000 kilometers into it.
Yeah, but that's what she drove. It depends, how many kilometers when she bought it. Because I assume she bought it used.
Yeah.
Let's say she bought it with
Looks
100,000
like it,
kilometers, all right? And 120. But again, as I said, she has to find out if the vehicle, came with an extended warranty. A lot of people don't know this because a lot of people extend warranties when they buy new cars. So when they sell them, they still have some extended warranties. They should ask these questions.
If you're buying a car from a previous owner, ask them, do you have the extended warranty? Right.
Absolutely.
Here's a question from the Grind Collective. What is the recommended length of a warranty to consider when purchasing a certified used vehicle from a well-established dealership? Recommended length of a warranty.
Yeah, it depends how long you're going to keep the vehicle. But in my opinion, it's important to buy an extended warranty after the fifth year and for an additional 3 years.
But okay, so when do you buy it? You buy it at the 4th or 5th year? No.
If you bought brand new car,
yeah,
then I'll buy the extended warranty just before the end of 3 years.
Oh yeah?
Because you can buy it from the manufacturer.
Okay.
Before 3 years, the end 3 years, or before 60,000 kilometers.
You can
You're-
buy
from
any
the
manufacturer?
Any manufacturer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I mean, if you have, let's say you buy a Toyota,
Yeah.
and right before the end of 3 years or before 60,000 kilometers, you can go walk into Toyota dealership and say, I want to buy extended warranty.
Really?
And they will sell it to you.
Okay, now in this case, this is a certified used vehicle, recommended length of a warranty.
Yeah, that gives, certified gives you 1 year warranty.
Okay.
With the
Automatically.
from the manufacturer, right? Then after that, I mean, it depends on the mileage on the vehicle. It depends, you know, on a
Give
lot
me
of other
give me
things.
some considerations here. So what if the vehicle has
Let's say the
50,000 kilometers on it?
Well, 50,000, then, you know, I mean, I will wait till probably 55, 56. Then I'll go to the dealership and say, look, I want to buy an extended warranty, and I want to buy another additional 3-4 years.
Okay.
And there is another thing that people don't know. You can negotiate the price of the extended warranty. A lot of people
Oh,
think
yeah?
they can't. Yes, you can, because there is a 50%, sometimes 50% margin.
Okay. So
So
it's
you
not a
can-
set price necessarily.
No, you can negotiate.
All right. Tiffany, if buying cash, can you negotiate with the dealer on a lower price?
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
know, of course, you can negotiate whether you're leasing, whether you're financing, or paying cash. You can negotiate a price.
Now, here's, like, I think Tiffany's raising a good point here because, you know, a lot of the offers now are, you see, you're going to get $3,000 cash back, or you get this better interest rate, but it's one or the other. Do you still have the same negotiating room?
Absolutely.
Like, if you're buying cash, right?
Absolutely,
Because a lot of the manufacturers are making their money off the financing and not off the selling of the car. So
Well, no, they also manufacture. They also make a lot of money on the cars too.
They do, okay.
Oh yeah, big time. But it doesn't matter, as I said, whether you're financing or you're leasing or you are paying cash. You can always negotiate the price of the car. That's why we do a Car Help Canada every day. We help our members. We'll tell them first of all, the incentives are. Let's say you're buying a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
Right? And the dealership is, the manufacturers itself is offering you, let's say, $2,000 cash back. And you want to buy cash, you want to pay cash. So you'll get the $2,000 plus you can get at least an additional $1,000 discount from the dealership.
Oh,
Absolutely. We do that every day at the office.
that's a
We have
lot.
the-
That's a lot of less money. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So people can negotiate even when they are paying cash.
Ryan's got a good question, and thanks, Ryan, for writing in, saying, I bought my first new car this year. How important is it to have it serviced at the original dealer?
It's very important to service at the original dealer. Well, it doesn't have to go the original, as long as you go to a dealership that represents that brand.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say if you buy a Honda, it doesn't, as long as you go to a Honda dealership.
Okay.
Okay, but it's very important to go back to the dealership for service at least for the first 2 years.
Because?
Because you want to keep that good relationship. If you have an issue later on, they can help you deal with the manufacturers, right? So, you know, a lot of times the manufacturer will say, well, you have not been servicing the car at the dealership.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
But why does that matter? It's not like you have to. I mean, the warranty doesn't require you to service it at a dealership.
No, it does not, but I'm saying it helps you. Because a lot of let's say, you know, the vehicle comes with 100,000 kilometers warranty.
Yeah.
And let's say you have been servicing it somewhere else. At 100, let's say 100, 200, 3,000 kilometers, the engine is gone. You think the manufacturer is going to say, okay, we're going to replace it for free? Absolutely not, because you were not servicing the car at the dealership. But if you were servicing at the dealership, it's going to be an incentive. I mean, the manufacturer will say, okay, well, you've been coming back to the dealership for service, we're going to help you out.
Okay, so
We
here's
see this all the time.
like that's an interesting perspective, but I guess here's what I'm thinking. If I go to the dealership, I'm probably going to pay more for service than I would at my private guy.
Absolutely. I mean, dealership.
Because there's a lot of people who are going to be watching this and say, you know what, I'm going to go to the dealership, buy the car, and then never see them again because
Well,
they'll charge me too much money for servicing.
And absolutely, a lot of people think that way. But as I say, I always advise people, at least for the first year, 2 years, go back to dealership. Besides, you don't need a lot of service the first year or two. All you need is oil changes. That's it.
Yep.
And maybe rotate the tires.
Yeah.
That's all you need. So you're talking probably 150, 200 bucks. Now, if the dealership tries to sell you other stuff, just say no.
Yeah.
No, I don't need it.
Ikanik is asking, is it better to buy new or used?
Well, it depends on your situation.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, usually I recommend people to buy used.
You recommend people buy used,
Absolutely,
yeah.
because you save a lot of money.
Yeah.
Remember, as soon as a new car walks out the dealership or being driven off the dealership, it loses around 10-15% of the value already. So after 2-3 years, the car already lost, probably around 35-40% minimum. It depends, of course, on the make. There are different values for different makes, all right? But still, if I am, if I am budgeting, let's say $15,000-$20,000, okay? I will really look at buying a used car. A good used car is going to last him for another 5 years and save a lot of money. Let somebody else take care of the depreciation.
How old would you go on a used car? I mean, some people are going to go with what they can afford, and so they might be looking at 5 or 6 years old. What would you suggest?
Probably, I would say between 5 to 6 years. That's really
That's a good place to buy a used car.
Because you don't want to buy an 8-10-year-old car, then suddenly you're going to start paying a lot of money for repairs.
I was surprised to hear you not say sort of 2 or 3.
No, because you know what? We have experienced this many times. The first year or two, you don't save a lot of money on used cars.
Yeah.
And especially if you compare to buy a new car with all the incentives, sometimes it makes better sense to buy a new car compared to 1-year-old car.
Right.
Because it actually becomes almost the same price.
Right. Miss Thibault is asking, how likely is it to get 0% financing these days?
There are quite few manufacturers offer, 0%. Absolutely.
There's offers of them, but people get them, is the question.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is, sometimes they would offer you 0% or cash.
Yep.
And it's your choice. Now you really have to sit down and make and do calculations and see which is the better option. You want to go with 0%, or you want to take the cash and go to your bank and get the loan.
Is a dealer required to provide, this is a question from Mark Jennings, is the dealer required to provide winter tires at no cost? Required?
None.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah. Do
No.
some?
No.
It's an
No.
incentive, yeah.
Some manufacturers are offering winter tires as an incentive.
But it's not required.
No. Hyundai, I think with the Santa Fe now, they are offering $750 for winter tires. Ford does it all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Travis is asking, what are the positives of leasing?
It's low monthly payments and changing cars every 3-4 years. You get the option to taste. Those new cars. Every 3-4 years. Those are really as the main 2 things about leasing. But people have to be very careful with the restrictions on leasing, which is, for example, as I said, if you get out of a lease before, costs you huge penalties. Be careful with the mileage, because they give you a certain mileage per year.
Yeah.
If you go beyond that, you have to pay penalties, right? And also you make sure you maintain the car, what the manufacturer tells you.
Okay. Do Travis, you raised a good question about leasing. There's actually another guy in here who I'm going to bring up right now. Shari, you come on up, because he changes cars all the time by the nature of what he does. But what do you think are some of the, and I'll bring you right up here just so we got some light on you. What do you think are the positives of leasing?
Yeah, I agree with many of the things that Mohamed mentioned. The benefits is that you get low monthly payments and you get a taste of a new car every few years. It makes sense for people who drive within the mileage restrictions and just like to be in a new car every few years. However, what most people need to understand is that the overall cost of leasing a car, especially if you buy it out at the end of the lease, ends up costing you more than if you were to finance it. Because at the end of a lease, you have a residual value that you have to pay off.
Yeah.
And dealerships don't finance that residual value. You either have to take a bank loan or a line of credit at a higher interest rate. So the overall cost of buying a car, if you buy it out, if it's a lease, is more expensive if you were to finance.
How long should you own a new car before upgrading, do you think, Shari? There's a question from Dan Brooker.
It depends on the car. Not all cars are judged the same way. Certain cars have a good reputation for reliability and low cost of ownership, such as Honda, Toyota, Subaru, and others. A car like that you can easily own for 10 years, even longer, and it'll be a perfectly good car for you. Some cars don't have quite as good a reputation for reliability, or they have a reputation for being very costly to repair out of warranty. Cars like that I would probably keep for the warranty period, not much beyond that.
A YouTube viewer was asking what are some of the best brands for used cars. I think you sort of listed a lot of them off there. Suzanne Bagwandine is asking what brands of car have high resale values.
There's definitely some that stand out more than others. I would say Subaru has very good resale value across the board. Honda, Toyota both have very good resale value as well. Even some other manufacturers now like Mazda have good resale value. So there's quite a few. And there's a pattern, right? Most of those are Japanese because they have the good reputation for reliability and people know that they're inexpensive to repair out of warranty. That's what keeps them expensive.
What are some vehicle brands that are not good for used?
Definitely high-end luxury cars.
European.
BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, they depreciate the quickest. That's partly because they're so expensive to buy initially. But once they fall out of warranty, the value just plummets on those cars. For lower cost cars, domestic cars certainly, like Chrysler, General Motors, Ford, their resale values are not quite as strong as the Hondas and Toyotas and Subarus.
Ali Reza Jessa is asking, how important is 0% financing on a new car versus the used car rates? Because you won't get 0% on a used car.
That's right.
Yeah.
In fact, the financing rates are one of the main attractions to why buying a new car can often be more advantageous than buying a used car. Because if you were to buy a used car, you'd have to get financing on your own, say through a bank, and the interest rate can easily be 4 or 5% or even higher than that. Whereas if you buy a brand new car, you do get the incentives of a low interest rate from the dealership. So 0% is very common nowadays, but the norm is definitely somewhere between 0 and say 3%. Most new cars offer that, and that does save you money.
I mean, when you look at the balance between, I mean, there are so many different things to consider, but if you're just looking at, do you go and get a car, the same car for 0% financing, or do you go and get a 2 or 3 year old version of that car and pay less for the car, but slightly higher on the interest?
If you're looking at cars that are 1 or 2 years old, I would stick with the brand new car in most cases, because a 1 or 2 year old car, the savings are just not there. You're going to have to finance it on your own through a bank at a higher interest rate. That's going to add a few $1,000s to the cost of the car. And it just doesn't make sense when brand new cars have a lot of incentives. So if you're thinking that a 1 or 2 year old car is going to save you a ton of money, well, I mean, you might want to look twice because new cars have really good incentives.
Here's an interesting thing. A Freckle on YouTube saying, I like this. Don't let them sweet talk you. I did all my negotiations through email. You hear about that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of consumers who send emails to 5-6 dealerships and let them compete.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, but you got to be very careful through emails from dealership who can promise you the moon, but once you get to the dealership, then suddenly things start changing. So you got to be really, very, very careful.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's definitely becoming a modern trend that people email and do all their almost the entire transaction on the internet nowadays. There's concerns with that, like Mohamed mentioned, but yeah, you have the dealerships competing for your business, and that could end up saving you more money.
Ayaz Ahmed is asking a great question here. What time of year should one go for a new car?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It used to be. It used to be, you know, June, July, August.
Yeah.
That's because, you know.
Because that's the end of the model year, right?
And a lot of manufacturers, you know, offer huge incentives. The problem with that is you have to be very flexible, because you might not get the color you want, you might get the options you want, okay, because they stop producing for that year. So you get whatever there is there, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, really, in this day and age, there is no time, because of a lot of organizations like ours who help people buy cars. So we know exactly what the price should be, and you know, the consumers end up saving a lot of money regardless. Now, the only thing is, as I said, if you are flexible, I would wait probably till maybe July and August. Those are the two best months when the dealership offering huge incentives.
In which months?
July and August.
July and August.
Because they want to get rid of, you know, the inventory that's there, because they want to bring in the new year.
Okay. So here we are in November. July and August is a long way away.
Yeah.
What about just waiting until the end of the month?
Not necessarily waiting to the end of the month. Like Mohamed said, the incentives, the clear out events usually come out in the summertime, the summer months. And at the same time, you're not only getting the best incentives at that time, but you're also getting the best availability of inventory, because the dealerships still have plenty of current model year cars available for you to choose from. Moving into the fall, the month of November, like we're in now, by now most of the 2017s have pretty much cleared out. So you can't take advantage of the incentives anymore. You have to buy a 2018 model year car that doesn't have them.
I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace. We're here at the Toronto offices of Car Help Canada. Mohamed Bouchama is here with us, as is Shari Prymak. We're taking your questions, anything to do with buying a car, whether it's financing or the cars in particular or leasing. Throw it out there. If we don't know the answer, we won't know the answer, but we're going to try to answer your questions. We got lots of them coming. Ryan, we've got yours. Christian, we got yours. Dan Brooker's got another one. Ryan, we'll start with. Mohamed, are there benefits to purchasing a hybrid or electric car new at this point?
Well, it depends on your driving habits.
Yeah.
If you do a lot of city driving, I would say you do 70, 80%, okay? Then yes, I will definitely consider hybrid. And in my opinion, the best hybrid out there is Toyota.
Okay.
I mean,
they were one of the early ones with the Prius.
The Prius or the Camry. They make, the best really hybrid. Now, as far as electric cars, you got to sit down and decide whether it's worth the cost. Because really the cheapest one, I think, is what, around $35,000, $40,000? That's
right.
Except for the Leaf that's going to come out, the Nissan Leaf, the new one, probably is going to be priced a little bit cheaper. Right now, I think, in my opinion, the best electric cars there is the GM Bolt.
The Bolt.
Yes.
Because they have the Volt and they have the Bolt.
But the
right?
Volt is really, it's what they call, it's not a pure electric
because it's got a gas engine
Exactly.
too, right?
It's a hybrid, actually, okay, plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
That's what's called. The Bolt, it probably has a range of around 350 kilometers, which is really good. And the price, I think, is what, around 40,000 kilometers a year.
Yeah.
Now that's if I'm considering an electric car, that's the one I will look at.
I agree with Mohamed. The Bolt is a very good choice as an electric car. They do make sense for certain people. I mean, if you have a place to charge them, you know that you're going to be on driving routes where there is a place to charge, and you have a garage to store it. I mean, it can save you a lot of money because you don't have to spend the money on the gas and less maintenance as well. Hybrids too. Hybrids make more and more sense nowadays because the price is coming down. They're more comparable in price to conventional gas cars. So if you're going to save 30-40% on gas, doing mostly city driving like we mentioned, then why not consider the hybrid? I would definitely consider it.
Okay. We got backing up with questions here, so we'll just try to get through these quickly. Christian, is it better to finance or pay cash? Shari.
If there's huge cash incentives, I'd consider buying cash. But if not, it's more 0% interest rates, then finance.
Then finance it. Okay, Dan Brooker, for used cars, what are the benefits of buying from a dealer rather than private? Mohamed.
From a dealer, you are protected.
Yeah.
There are laws that protect you when you buy from a dealer. When you buy privately, there is no protection whatsoever, and you have to be very careful. You have to do your homework.
What if you think you're going to save $1,000?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you do your homework, as long as you know that the car is a very good car, that the car has never been in a huge collision, that the car doesn't have a lien on it. Remember, sometimes they don't disclose that.
Yeah, and I know you've said in an answer to a previous question, there are 3 things that you want to do buying privately. Number 1 is check the person selling it. Make sure the registration. Yeah, exactly. Make sure the registration of the vehicle is to that person. Look at their driver's license. The second one was get the car proof on it. Make sure it hasn't had any accidents. And the third was, I've forgotten.
The third one is get what they call car proof report.
Oh, sorry, car proof. And what was it? Okay, what's the other?
Car proof report. Those are the 3. inspection.
Yeah.
By an independent.
Inspection by an independent. Yeah.
Now the other thing is if you're buying from a dealer. Okay, especially if you're buying from a used car dealer and you want to know whether that dealer has a good reputation or has been charged before, you can go to the ANVIC website. They publish.
Really?
They publish decisions, disciplines on dealers. So you can
This is Ontario specific.
The Ontario
and we've got people all over the place here. Yeah.
But I'm talking about Ontario.
Yeah, okay. Dan Brooker, that was Dan's question. Jeff Corradetti is asking, and I'll throw this one to you, Shari. How much depreciation will highly modified 4x4s and trucks bring if they've been off-roading a lot or even smoked in?
Probably pretty significant,
Yeah.
because not just for this type of car off-roading, any car that gets highly modified or gets, let's say, abused because of the type of driving you do, yeah, that's going to affect the value significantly. Because when people are buying a used car, they want a car that's in the best condition possible. They want to know that it was baby, taken care of by the previous owner. So yeah, it's definitely going to have an impact for sure.
And especially if the vehicle has been modified, you might lose the warranty.
It
The
might-
manufacturer will
yeah.
not allow you to modify anything in the car.
Oh, really?
If you do that, you lose the warranty.
The warranty could be void.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a YouTube user asking, what is the recommended length of warranty to consider when purchasing a certified used vehicle from a well-established dealership?
Depends on the
Yeah,
car.
it depends on the car. But as I said, I would say probably around 3 years. That's the average. 3 years, you know, it's good. And as I said again, make sure you negotiate the price of the warranty. You can save some money.
Okay. I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace. We're here in the Toronto offices of Car Help Canada. Mohamed Bouchama, Shari, Prymak are here with us. We're taking your questions about buying cars, car finance, really anything to do with the whole car purchase process, selling your car. If you got those kind of things, we're certainly happy to take them. What are, just help me understand, because we see so many different interest rates that are out there now. How do you know which one you're going to get?
Well, if a dealership or manufacturer is advertising an interest rates, as long as you have good credit and you qualify, there's no reason why you shouldn't get that interest rates. I mean, it's not a deception game here where they advertise 0% financing, but everybody that walks in the dealership ends up getting 3 or 4%. It's not really like that when it comes to interest rates, as long as you have good credit.
Here's a question from Ryan Shillington. This is a good one. Is buying a car in the U.S. and importing it worth it, or just too much red tape?
Well, first of all, is the dollar.
Yeah.
And again, it's going to cost
Dollar's
you.
slightly better now.
Oh, yeah, but still you're paying 30% more.
Yeah.
All right, number one. Number two, you have to check whether, manufacturing in Canada is going to cover the warranty. Because a lot of manufacturers here, if you bring a car from the state, they will not cover the warranty.
How do they make that argument?
Oh, because, you buy it outside of the country.
Okay.
That's it.
This is a used car we're talking about.
Oh,
I
a
think.
used car. Okay, if it's a used
You know what? Ryan doesn't say.
Yeah.
Ryan doesn't say.
But
that.
if it's a
I
new
was making
car,
that assumption.
or if it's a 1-year-old car, then find out if the manufacturer is going to cover the warranty or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, you're going to have every time to go back to, if you are in Ontario, you have to go to Buffalo or something like that.
But they make it so. I mean, here we are in Toronto. They make it. The manufacturers make it very difficult. I can't just go down to Buffalo and buy a car and bring it back
No,
here,
you can't.
right?
And not only that, is American dealership, if they find out you're a Canadian, they will not sell you a new car.
Okay.
They won't. I mean, they might sell you, 6-month-old car, 1-year-old car, but not brand new car.
So is that worth it? Is it worth it, and all the red tape you got to go through if it's used?
I don't think it's worth it at the moment because the savings are just not there. The only time I really hear people importing cars from the United States nowadays is if it's a very specialty car, a very rare model that's very difficult to get here. That's the only case.
Alexander Soik is asking what the best value for a minivan out there is.
Grand Caravan.
Grand Caravan?
Absolutely. And a lot of people think it's that good. It's a great van, and the price is so cheap. You can buy, you can buy a minivan now for around $22,000 to $23,000, and you can keep it for 7-8 years.
Yeah,
it's
totally
great
agree
price.
with that. Yeah,
absolutely.
All of its competitors
Yeah.
are easily $10,000 more.
More than that, actually. So really, the Grand Caravan is the best value for the money.
Paul Maurice is asking, can you still negotiate if you get 0% interest? Can you negotiate on the price?
Absolutely. Yes, you can. The first thing you do, don't ask about the interest rates.
Yeah.
Don't ask about the financing. Don't ask about the trading. First thing is negotiate the price. That's the first thing you do. Negotiate the price, right? Then you tell them, I have a trade-in, and what's the interest rates, and so forth. Because you don't want to give them the opportunity. Try, to play, tricks with you.
Yeah.
No, just go there. So, I want to buy this car. What's the best price? Once you decide on the price, then you go on to the next steps.
What if they want to play that game?
I just walk away. I'll walk out. That's it. Just tell them, look, this is what I want. What kind of price you want to charge me? But make sure that the consumers already have some information before they go to the dealership.
Yeah.
So, for example, what we do here in the office when somebody calls, we tell them, this is the price you should be paying. So when they go to the dealership, they know exactly how much they are going to pay.
Yeah.
That's it. So now they can negotiate the other stuff.
Wapo is asking, do I really need the rust coat, the optional extra on the bottom of the car?
Well, I mean, it depends on whether you're going to keep the car long term or not. I mean, if it's a car you know you're only going to keep for a few years, then no, you probably don't need to do it. If you know you're going to keep it for the long haul, like 10 years or more, then yeah, it's definitely good maintenance to do. You can do it every couple of years. You don't have to take it to the dealership. You can take it to a third-party company. There's many out there, such as Crown, such as Rust Check. Doesn't cost a lot of money, and it's good peace of mind because the car will be safer because you're maintaining the structural integrity of the car, and it's going to look a lot better cosmetically not having rust.
Do you
And
think
also it helps with the resale value.
Okay.
Big time, yeah.
Do you think it matters, Mohamed, where you live? Because, you know, in Western Canada, they're not using salt on the roads.
Yes, it matters where you live. There's no question about it. If you live in Eastern Canada or in the Atlantic provinces, I will definitely use the rust proofing. Every couple of years, as Shari said, I will go to Crown. It costs around $120 and $25. Do it every year, every other year, and you'll be fine.
Alex, we've got your question, but Tina came in first. Tina's asking, what's the best small car to buy?
There's quite a few, and it depends how you define small car.
Yeah.
I mean, there are subcompact cars like the Honda Fit, the Toyota Yaris, the Kia Rio, which I just finished test driving. Very nice car. All affordable, great features, good value for the money, and
Longevity?
excellent longevity on all of them. If you want something a little bit bigger but still considered a compact car, I mean, there's the Honda Civic, there's the Toyota Corolla, the Mazda 3, the Chevrolet Cruze, the Hyundai Elantra. They're all very popular, but they're all very good cars. It's a matter of picking which one you like best, because in terms of reliability, quality, and price, they're all very comparable.
What's happening with the Civic? It keeps getting bigger. It's like it's
Yeah.
on growth hormones
Not
or
very
something like
small
that. It's
anymore.
gone for them. That's a little
Yeah.
itty bitty car
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
now. I mean,
well-
it's going to be a minivan. soon
Well, they
enough,
have
right?
the Fit now to replace
They have
the
the Fit,
Civic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alex is asking, do you have any advice to reduce car insurance premiums? Here we are in Toronto. That's a good question because
Well-
there are huge insurance premiums for basically everybody here.
It depends. The problem is in Ontario, it depends on the postal code.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, okay? Your postal code will determine whether you're going to pay very high premiums or not. That's number one. Number two depends on your driving records. You know, if you were in collisions before, you had fault collisions, if you had tickets, you know, speeding tickets and stuff like that. Now, if you work in a place where they have group insurance, I will check that. Because usually you save between 10 and 15% on group insurance. We see it every day. We know, for example, our members, you know, we have group insurance, and our members save between 10 and 15%. So he's right, you know, that Ontarians pay the highest premiums in the land. It's the average is around, I think, $2,200 to $2,300.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just way too much.
Other
Really
ways to save is if you're a member of a professional association. Sometimes insurance companies give you a preferred rate for that. You can also save a little bit of money if you use winter tires in Ontario because insurance companies give you a discount on that as well.
Yeah.
But best advice is to hire a really good insurance broker because they can shop around for you and find you the best rate.
Really. Kelly is asking, Kelly Lynn, I don't know, we're talking to you here from Canada. I don't know if you're in Canada or if you're in the United States. The question is there really much of a deal on Black Friday for buying a new SUV?
Well, there are incentives on Black Friday from manufacturers. Like you do see them
We're coming right up
advertised.
to it here.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So there are manufacturers that come out with Black Friday incentives. Not all of them do. They're not always any different from any other types of incentives that exist at this time of the year. So for most manufacturers, I would say no. I don't think there's any additional incentives for Black Friday, but some do.
And I think, you know, as I said, the most important thing that you should do your homework before you go to the dealership. Find out what the price should be. You know, there are a lot of.
So how do you find that out?
Well, for example, we do that with our members.
Car Help Canada.
Yeah, we do that. We tell them what the dealer pays, how much you should be paying, so they know exactly how much they are saving. So the consumer should do that before they go to the dealership, so they know exactly how much they are going to pay. I mean, yes, you can go there and start negotiating, but if you don't have an idea, you never know how much you're paying.
Christian's asking a question here, and I will just point out very quickly, I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace. We're here in Toronto in the offices of Car Help Canada. Mohamed Bouchama and Shari Prymak are joining us, taking your questions about buying a car, the process, the car financing, leasing, types of cars, whatever you got, throw it at us. What kind of air freshener you should have in your car? quick decision.
Yeah. Oh, I like new car smell.
New car smell. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, new car smell. Christian, when you negotiate the price, how do you know you're getting a good deal? Can I check the value on my own somewhere? That's a good flow coming out of. So you do that here at
Yeah,
Car Help
we do a
Canada.
Car Help Canada. As I said, our members, always call us when they're buying new cars or used cars, and we tell them what the price should be. And usually we end up saving them between probably $500, $600 to $3,000, $4,000. It depends on type of vehicle that they are buying, but definitely it's a good idea to find out before.
Okay. YouTube viewer is asking, when buying a used car, is a history of being used as a rental car or a fleet vehicle considered a downside, even if the vehicle looks like it's in good condition?
Usually we don't recommend buying the rental cars. Because, as you know, David, when people buy rental cars, they don't give it down. They don't care.
I've had fun driving some rental cars. Yeah.
So they abuse them.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes what happens, even with rental cars, sometimes they are in collisions, but you cannot see it on the reports because the insurance companies have their own body shops and they fix it themselves. So you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So
there's such a significant difference between a rental car and a regular used car that some provinces, like Ontario, are required to disclose
by law
whether that the car is a rental or not.
When you're selling it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, the dealer is.
Okay.
Privately, no. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
With the dealer, you are protected.
AMT, does high mileage still matter on modern used cars?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But has the bar changed?
Well, here's the thing. There's no doubt that cars have become a lot more reliable. The quality has improved significantly, but the problems that we used to have that no longer exist are replaced with new problems because cars are much more complicated nowadays. There's a lot more electronics, there's a lot more software and computers involved, and that creates a level of complexity that means additional costs to the owner when the car ages and gets older. So yes, a high mileage car can still be a costly one. It depends on the type of car because they all have different reputations.
Christopher Inglis is asking, what about buying a new car in its first model year? Is that a good idea, or should you wait a couple of years?
It depends on the
You're
brand,
saying wait.
but it depends on the brand.
Okay.
If it's a Toyota or a Honda or a Lexus, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. Unless they come up with a totally brand new engine, totally brand new transmission, then yes, I will wait. But if it's really just the design of the car, the look of the car that's changed, I don't think it will make a big difference.
The car I drive is 2009. It's 8 years old right now, but I think it's the same engine being sold in the current model year than it was 8 years
absolutely,
ago, right?
The fit is the fit.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they come up with new fit, I will buy it. It's a great car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what Mohamed's saying is that in most cases with these good quality cars, even when they redesign them, if there are any bugs or issues in the first model year, they're usually very minor ones like software that can easily be taken care of at the dealer.
Eric Hung is asking, can we trust apps like TrueCar? It's a car buying app. Do you know about it?
I know about it, but in Canada, no. You can't in Canada. I mean, in the U.S., yes. I mean, they are big in the U.S. In Canada, no. I mean, I really would talk to a Canadian organization, if you want to know the price.
Yeah, TrueCar and Carvana, there's these new online research websites. They're good research tools. They're good for doing your homework ahead of time. But there's positives and negatives to them, just like everything, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Clark asking, are there any benefits to going to another province to buy a new car? Are the warranties still valid, for instance?
Well, the warranty is national.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. When the manufacturer sells a car, the warranty is the same for every province. Now, actually, believe it or not, the best place to buy a new car now is the GTA.
This is GTA in the Toronto area.
It's so competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our members, we go buy Honda Civics, they pay $300 over cost. There is no way you can get that in Alberta or even in Montreal. You can't. It's impossible. Because there are, you see, the GTA has the highest concentration of dealerships in North America.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And dealers are so competitive here, you can get the best deal.
So does it make it, would it make sense for someone from let me say Kingston, Ontario, to come to Toronto to buy a car.
David, I'll give you an example. We
Yeah.
had a guy who came from Nova Scotia and
Nova
bought a car
Scotia?
here.
In Toronto.
He flew, he has family here, and he bought a car, he drove it back. Because he saved $3,000.
Really?
Yes. So it makes sense. It makes sense, to come to the GTA to buy cars sometimes. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
There's another reason for the rest of Canada to hate Toronto. YouTube user is saying, I want to buy the safest car for the winter. Is it worth buying the upgrade to all-wheel drive?
That's a good question. See, that's such a big misconception that all-wheel drive is a safety feature. It's not. It's a performance feature. It enhances the performance in terms of the way the car accelerates and gets off the line. But in terms of your ability to stop sooner, braking, in terms of your cornering grip on slippery roads, all-wheel drive doesn't do anything for you. That's what winter tires are for. So if you're thinking about safety, look at winter tires instead of all-wheel drive.
Here's another question. This one's coming from Brian. What's with all the charges on the invoice? Can I negotiate some of these?
Some charges are definitely negotiable because they're not mandatory by law, but there are some that are considered mandatory fees that you can't negotiate, such as freight and PDI. All provinces have that fee. There's nothing you can do about it if you're buying a brand new car. But other fees, yes, some of them are negotiable.
And not only that, some other fees you don't even pay. You shouldn't pay. Say
Okay.
no. For example, sometimes they will try to charge you what we call window etching.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We've done a story on that at
Yeah,
Marketplace.
exactly.
There's almost no police force in the world in Canada that sort of recognizes those.
Yeah, window etching. So
Yeah.
I say no. If they say I'm walking away, so they're not gonna let you walk away for $250 or something. No, just say no. If
Okay.
the administration fee, depends where you go. There are dealers who will try charge you $700, $800 admin fee. I wouldn't pay more than $300.
You wouldn't pay more than $300
Absolutely,
for it.
yeah.
What is PDI anyway? What does it stand for?
Pre-delivery inspection.
Pre-delivery inspection.
Yes.
Yes.
Which means, when the car brand new came in, they have to check, the fluids, check everything is working, and unfortunately you end up paying a lot of money for that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's,
I know.
That's another way of making a little bit more money for the dealership.
You have to pay for them to look at the car when it comes off the truck into
That's
the
right.
dealership?
Yes.
That's right.
And you have to pay it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to.
You hear that in the ads all the time, freight and PDI.
Look, the same thing with freight. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, take the example of Corollas or the Civics. Where do they come from? They come from Cambridge and Alliston.
Yeah.
But you still pay 800? Well, the freight alone, 800,000 bucks for freight. They come only from Alliston.
So, and here we are in the Toronto area. You could just take the bus up there or get a friend to drop you. Right?
Whereas you have some cars that are manufactured in Europe
Yeah.
Or in
and brought
Japan.
and brought over to Canada, and the freight can be the same price or even less.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Okay. Brooklyn is asking, when buying a used car from a dealership, will I be able to find out the depreciation value of the car, or will I have to trust on bargaining, and will the depreciated value of the car affect the taxes? Okay, let me break that up because it's in pieces. When buying a used car from a dealership, will I be able to find out the depreciation value of the car in advance?
No.
Well,
I mean, it's really, what does he mean by find out the depreciation? How
so-
much the car depreciated?
So if you're buying a car, will they be able to tell you what it'll be worth within a window, 3 years
With
from
the
now?
lease, they do that.
With a lease, they
They
do.
do
yeah.
that because they have a.
But what if it's just a new car purchase, even if it's on a loan?
Well, the manufacturer can do that, but they are not going to do it for financing. They don't. But for a lease, they have what they call a mathematical formula. It's very complex that will calculate the value of the car 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road. They calculate that.
But also there are independent organizations like JD Power and Consumer Reports that also calculate the depreciation on cars, and they'll publish those figures on an annual basis. So for example, last year, the car that with the highest resale value turned out to be the Jeep Wrangler. I believe it retained around 80% of its value after 3 or 4 years. So organizations calculate those things, and consumers can look them up.
Yeah.
A YouTube user is asking, is purchasing a used car from a repo lot, a car that's been repossessed, is that advisable?
See, the problem is I don't think they will let you take it for an inspection. that's the problem. If they let you take it for an inspection and get the history of the vehicle, then absolutely, I will consider it and find out if the price is good. I will do it. But if they don't let you take it for an inspection, you know what? I'll think twice about it.
Too risky, yeah.
Too risky. So I would be very, very careful.
I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace, and we're here at the Toronto offices of Car Help Canada. Mohamed Bouchama and Shari Prymak are answering your questions about buying cars, car leasing, you name it. We've been taking any kind of question. We've only got a few more minutes for questions, so please fire them in, and we'll take those that we can. Jerry is asking, is Consumer Reports a great place to look at car ratings?
It's a valuable resource. It's definitely worth looking at, but I would look at it with a grain of salt. You have to be careful because it is a membership organization, so the sampling that they do, the data collection comes from their own membership base. It's not like they survey all of the United States or all of Canada and accumulate all of that data to come up with their ratings. So you have to treat it with a grain of salt.
What's an alternative then?
Well, I'd probably disagree a little bit with Shari on this because Consumer Report is independent. They buy their own cars. They test their own cars. They buy them. Unlike a lot of other places where the journalist gets cars from the manufacturers. They buy their own cars, they test them, So I mean their ratings, I would trust their rating more than other journalists. I would really do. The other one is JD Power. The problem with JD Power most of the time is they do it for the first 6 months.
Yeah, which doesn't give you the idea of longevity. How long is this thing
Sometimes
going
they
to last?
do. They do sometimes, but not very often. They do it for I think 4 or 5 years, but that's not very often. So, but Consumer Report, I would trust Consumer Reports with their ratings. Very rare that I see them off track. I see they made mistakes.
Right. JC Potier is asking, what's a good interest rate on a used vehicle that's only a few months old?
That also you can negotiate to a certain degree with your bank. But today, I think right now, if you go to your bank, and also it depends on
your credit rating.
Credit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's say this is someone with good credit.
Very good credit. Right now, you're looking between 4 or 5%.
4 and 5%.
Yeah,
which is significantly more than the interest rate that many brand new cars can have. Because like we said, many new cars, you can have 0% interest rate, or at the most, really, 2-3%. So.
Christopher Wick's asking, what's your opinion on extended warranties if you plan on keeping the vehicle for 6 or 7 years?
I mean, Mohamed, I know you recommend.
Yeah, I really do, because especially right now, cars. Give you an example. We had a case last week when the engine is gone on a BMW. It was going to cost her $11,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So if you had an extended warranty, you have covered.
Yeah.
Right. So especially when it comes with complex cars, especially European cars. If you're going to keep, let's say, BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi for over 6-7 years, absolutely, I would buy an extended warranty.
Because some people look at extended warranty. I mean, you responded to this in another question, is that's a place that a dealership, that a manufacturer makes extra money, is by selling you an extended warranty.
Absolutely. But if I am buying a Honda or a Toyota, I'm going to keep it for 5 years, I wouldn't buy it. But if I'm going to keep it for 8 years, absolutely, I will consider buying an additional 2-3 years. It really, it's like an insurance.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If your air conditioning goes after the 5th year, right? Remember, for example, air conditioners are covered only for 3 years.
Yeah.
On most of the cars, only 3 years. So if your air conditioner goes after 4 years, you're going to be paying around $1,200.
The people that can pass on the extended warranties are the ones that are buying a car with a really good reputation for reliability, low cost to repair, like the Toyotas, Hondas, Subarus, and they do low mileage driving. If you only drive 10,000 kilometers a year, then you can pass on the extended warranty because you probably won't benefit from it.
Or if you are leasing, I wouldn't buy an extended warranty because sometimes they try to sell an extended warranty when you lease. I wouldn't.
Yeah, because you're going
to return it.
Yeah.
So.
Christopher is also asking, is MSRP a good guide to knowing the true cost of a car?
No, MSRP, that's what they're supposed to sell it for. It's called the manufacturer suggested retail price. Yeah. That's MSRP. But the cost of the vehicle is something different.
It's less.
That's why, we do things like this. We work, in this office because we have that information. We know how much the dealer pays. So we know the difference between MSRP and what the dealer pays, and we can give an idea how much the dealer should be making.
Yeah, that's right. Like one of our services is we help consumers get a great price on a new car, and we try and come up with a fair price so that the dealership makes a little bit of money, but we also maximize the savings for the consumer because we want them to get a great deal.
Okay, so we run out of time here at the Toronto offices of Car Help Canada. Thanks very much to Mohamed Bouchama and Shari Prymak, who work here in this office. I'm David Common with CBC Marketplace. Thanks very much. Some great questions there. Really appreciate them. And the guys at Car Help Canada are always here. You've got your own TV show as well in the Toronto area where you talk to people of this kind of things. Anyway, thanks very much, folks. Here's a question for you as we're